I apologise, I've got a bit of a throat. Did anyone see Theresa May coughing on stage last week? Yeah, I feel a bit like that today. Okay, I've got 30 minutes, I've got loads of slides to get through, and I've got lots of assets to show you as well. If I can get through them, we've got videos, podcasts, radio, lots of interesting stuff to show you. But before I start, could I just get a show of hands, please? You've all got a copy of The Economist on your tables. Could you raise your hand if you consider yourself to be an Economist subscriber right now? Okay, so we've got about 10-20% of people in the room. Could you raise your hand if you're an infrequent reader of The Economist, if you consider yourself to be infrequent? Okay, so that's probably about 70% of the room. And everyone else, raise your hand if you are not an infrequent, or you're not a reader of The Economist, quite obvious. You raise your hands? No, never read The Economist, or don't read The Economist? No hands. Okay, so back to the second category of people, infrequent readers. Please could you raise your hand again? And please keep your hand raised if you'd be willing just to help me out for 2 minutes. Two people who I choose will both get a free digital subscription to The Economist worth about $250. I've got some hands raised, that's great. I'd like one male and one female if I could, please. Have got any females with their hands raised? Oh, would you mind coming up to the stage just for 2 minutes, please? Can I ask your name? Poppy. Please give Poppy a round of applause. She's going to come up to the stage. And I need this gentleman here, please. What's your name, please? David. David. Round of applause for David, please. Okay. You're all now wondering what the hell is going on. Okay. David, perhaps you could write your names on the top of that board. Okay. Today's all about audience. So we often start this presentation like this. Poppy and David, please could you draw on that board, using your greatest artistic talents, a picture of a person for whom you think The Economist is written. If your drawing is anything like mine, it can be a stick person. If you're artistic, you can be full-blown as good as you like. And if you wouldn't mind using objects to kind of help us understand what you've drawn, so you might, where are they? What are they wearing? Are they at work? Are they at home? What are they holding? Are they wearing a hat? Whatever you like. You've got just 2 minutes, please. And finally, once you've drawn your person, I'd like you to write their name, please. What are they called? And also, what job do they have? What's their job? Career. Okay, we're really short on time today, so done? Happy? Okay, Poppy, could you please describe what you've drawn? Yep.
Reading something, she's got a flag, and a globe next to her.
So she's someone who's interested in the world. She's a global leader. Does she have a name? Miss Global Leader. Okay. Good. David?
I've got an Instagram photo of a man or a woman taking a selfie at the pyramids. They're on vacation. They're world traveling.
Why are they at the pyramids?
Because they travel the world.
Okay.
They're a globally minded person.
Yep.
They think going to the vacation in Egypt is cool, so there they are.
Yep.
And the pyramids is easy to draw. Their name is Fabian, and they work at like a big global company like GE.
GE. Okay, great. All right, this is going to be really useful for the rest of our presentation. So please can you thank these two kind people for coming up onto the stage. If you both come and see me afterwards, I'll sort out your subscription. Okay. Right, we need to rattle on. Thank you so much for that. Because some of you in the room aren't overly familiar with The Economist, I'll just very quickly describe what we do. Many companies say they have one USP. We believe it's 5 things together that make The Economist unique. Global perspective. Lots of our competitors are either US or UK focused. We are global. We're a trusted, finishable filter. We're not endless like the internet. We are future-facing rather than backward-looking. You look at someone like The Week, who's one of our competitors, reviews the papers and the articles from the week before. We're very forward-looking. We're an advocate of progress. We support gay marriage, saving the oceans, etc. And most important for today, we're premium priced. You won't find, outside of this room, you won't find a free copy of The Economist anywhere. We're also consistently profitable, which enables us to do much of what we do. Some news organizations aren't, but we are. And our circulation has continually grown. So back in 2004, we were just short of 1 million. We're now at 1.6 million subscribers. And like many other publishers, we generate our revenues from two streams, advertising and subscriber revenue. Up until about 3 or 4 years ago, this was about a 50-50 split. But as we all know in this room, times got tough. And we managed to spot that times were going to get tough quite early. We have some very brainy people back at the office, me not included. Saw it very early. We were also somewhat shielded from this dramatic decline in newspaper advertising revenue because we're a premium product. Premium advertising seemed to hang on a little bit longer. But we saw that one side of our business, the advertising revenue side of the business, was going to come under threat. So we knew that if we were going to be more as profitable, if not more profitable than we'd ever been before, we wouldn't need to generate more revenue from our readers and our subscribers. Quite simple. 2 revenue streams, one goes down, the other one's got to go up. So the first thing we did was take a look at our audience, and we were incredibly surprised. Lots of light at the end of the tunnel when we saw this. Lots of light bulbs went off. So we have 1.6 million subscribers, but we have 20 million Twitter followers, 8 million Facebook fans. So seeing this big audience number made us think, hang on a minute, it's not all doom and gloom here, because even though the advertising revenue is falling, if we've got 1.6 million subscribers right now who are paying, and we've got 20 million people following us on Twitter, if only we could convert some of these people from just following us to being paid subscribers, then we can fill that revenue gap. Make sense so far? Cool. So we researched our audience using all of the data that we had to hand. So lots of digital analytics platforms we have in-house. We use Bluekai, we use Lytics, we accessed our Facebook and Twitter backends. And we've been doing lots of research over the last 3 years into North America, women, millennials. We pulled all of this stuff together. It was a huge exercise undertaken by one of our agencies, Proximity London. Their data scientist team pulled it all together. And it enabled us to define our audience as the globally curious. Now, hopefully you can read these. These are a bit difficult to read on some presentations, but you'll see they are not, we don't define our audience using demographics. We're not saying they're 18 to 35 or 35 to 50. We define our audience using attitudes and behaviors. So I'll read these out just really quickly. So our audience is interested in political and business news from trustworthy sources, has a preference for brands that are quality but also environmentally friendly, want to be and to be seen to be informed about what is happening around the world, interested in entertainment news and want to be kept up to date, have an interest in travel. Interesting, both of you, David and Poppy, both include travel on here, and have an interest in art and want to be educated about it. So we've done all of that work, internal work. We defined our audience using those attitudinal statements. Then we went to a company called Ipsos Mori and said, well, we've identified that these people should be reading The Economist. Can you tell us how many of these people there are around the world? And Ipsos Mori came back and said, well, actually, if you put an English language filter on it, so this is people with that fit the audience profile and have a very good command of English language. There are 73 million people around who should be reading The Economist around the world. Excuse me. If you take the English language filter off, that gets even bigger. That's 131 million. So you can kind of see where this is going. You've got advertising revenues declining on one side of the business. You've got circulation. We're going to need to be focused on circulation revenue and reader revenue for the future. And we've identified a stack load of people who are actually reading Economist content already on Facebook and Twitter and other social channels. And then we have a big research agency telling us there are millions and millions and millions of people around the world who should be reading The Economist. It was a really big defining moment in our company for us because it gave us a light at the end of the tunnel. It gave us a very clear strategy for moving forwards. But, and here comes the crux, we had a bit of an identity crisis. I was interested that Poppy drew a woman, because most people, when we get people to do this exercise, and we did this endlessly 2 years ago, we brought lots of prospective readers into AMV BBDO in London and got them all to do this exact same exercise, but using Post-it notes. And most people drew a picture not dissimilar to William. And William is, you can see there, we said to people, who is William? They would say, he's gathered a lot of information in his brain, mainly financial. He'll be a broker and uses information to get richer. Even worse, A bit more about William. He wears a business suit. He hates his life. He studied economics. He ended up working at Barclays. He's disillusioned. He's grey. He has a bleeper that warns him when he stops her down. So Poppy and Davy's description was very positive compared to some of the drawings that we saw back in the focus groups. But you get the point. We've got this huge potential audience of people, but we have a big, big perception problem. They just don't believe it's for them. For one, it's called The Economist. We have a problem with the name of the magazine, but that is not to be changed. But we know we have a perception problem that we're going to tackle. And this is how we're doing it. So in the old days, we would have tackled it like this. So just brand. We've used these buses in Chicago before. We've used posts on the underground. There's no calls to action on there. They create a nice splash, but you have no idea really whether they're working or not. There's no calls to action. We might get a brand report afterwards 6 months later that says everyone's 3% more smiley about The Economist, but what does that really mean in terms of cold, hard metrics? My boss wouldn't have been happy if I undertook that route. It feels very old school. So we got together with our partners, agencies and platforms, and we decided we were going to tackle it like this. We've called it our brand response campaign. So it incorporates brand, but it also incorporates all of the other channels at the top of the funnel. Display, mobile, and social were our starting point 3 years ago. I'll also show you how we moved into TV, radio, and podcasts more recently. And the key thing here, and you look at the 3 points on the right-hand side, everything we do has to be content-led and provocative. So what better way of showing people that The Economist content is for them and is more than just economics and actually surfacing the content? The content needs to be at the heart of everything we do. It's got to be trackable and measurable. No more of this driving buses around cities and hoping that people are looking at them and then just hoping that we get sales afterwards. And we are a media company founded in 1843. What better way of convincing people that we're not a fussy old media brand than using cutting-edge technology? So everything we do now goes by those 3 things. This is our internal mantra, why, try, buy. This is what we've got to convince people to do. Why should I give The Economist a go? If I can manage to convince them to do that, they'll give it a try. Once they've given it a try, I'm convinced they'll buy. So it's content-led on the left-hand side, surfacing lots of content. We take them to a content hub where there's lots more content. I'll talk about hubs in a second. Hopefully some of them subscribe, and if they don't subscribe, we retarget them relentlessly. Lots of plumbing behind the scenes. I think one of the bravest things our CMO and CEO did 2 years ago was to recruit 2 new people into our team that had never been recruited into a marketing team at The Economist before. We now have a Chief Customer Journey Officer whose role it is to do nothing other to make sure that these journeys are seamless. And we also have a head of marketing technology. So we've taken our technology completely out of the remit of the normal IT department in our company. I don't know if any of you have ever had this situation where you've wanted to build something and you've said to IT, I need this urgently, and they've said, well, yeah, you can have it. I'll put it on the list. You can have it in 6 months' time. We couldn't do that. We were in such a tough situation, so we now have our own marketing technology team at The Economist, independent of IT, reports into the CMO. Designed global media plans. We work with Universal McCann. You can see the countries that we're operational in down the left-hand side. If you look across the top right, you'll see all the different channels we're operational in, Outbrain, social, high impact, programmatic, you name it, we've tested it over the last 2 years. So in short, we identify these high value subscribers up front. We then use everything we've found out about them, attitudes and behaviors, and then we deliver the content that we know is going to be of interest to them, knowing what they're interested in, knowing what they're viewing, and we'll deliver it at the right time on the right device. This was our old creative executions. These were back in the 80s and 90s. They were very successful, but of course they don't show you anything about the content at all. We need to change our approach. So we have a creative approach that's called There's Nothing More Provocative Than the Truth. And you'll see here, we create on a weekly basis now hundreds of ad units, and each of these ad units goes some way to surfacing content that is in The Economist that people would find surprising. So who would have thought that gun crime is covered in The Economist? It is. Who would have thought that CIA and torture is covered in The Economist? It is. And we use clever machines to make sure that those ad units are displayed. The CIA torture one is a good example. When somebody is reading about the CIA on a competitor website, the ad unit that we display will pertain to exactly the same topic. So we're getting them when they're interested in the topic. We're not taking them off somewhere to read something that we don't know whether it's of interest to them or not. It's annoying. We create thousands of iterations of these things. We've got high-impact ad units. This doesn't do it justice here, but the one on the left-hand side was about surveillance. When you moved your mouse around the screen, that surveillance camera shifted around with your mouse. They hated that in America, but they loved it in the UK. Don't ask me why. The ad unit in the middle is a surface an article that we wrote in The Economist about prostitution, how much it costs to hire a prostitute in different countries around the world. Again, who thought The Economist would cover that? We did. And we produce these ad units for social, mobile, native, and you'll see in a second we moved into TV and podcasts too. So sitting at the middle of all this is a hell of a lot of technology. So we work with Universal McCann. I've spoken about BlueKai already. We have Lytix in play. We use Turn. Basically, this is a big tech play in the middle here. And one of the jobs that we have to do now as marketers is decide which tech we include and which we don't. We'll speak to anybody who says they can add something to the existing stack, but it's our job to make sure if we're adding another piece of technology and it's actually working, not replicate anything there already. I mentioned we use hubs. We could have sent people straight through to our website. We decided that was not a good thing to do. Way too many places for cold audiences to get lost on a website. They can go and look at other products. They can look at your advertising. We sent them to hubs. If you look at discovery.economist.com, you'll see there's one of them live right now. It's very single-minded in what it does. You click on an ad unit, you get taken to a hub. All you can really do is read some content or subscribe. Read content or subscribe, read content or subscribe. It's very, very single-minded. And when we did an A/B test, sending people through to economist.com, the website, and sending people through to the hubs, 50-50 traffic split, 70% of people who subscribe as a result of going to the hub. So we know it works. Watching everything like that. We've then got your cookie. You're clicking on all these ad units. We've got your cookies. We know a lot about you. We're then as relentless in retargeting as we were in prospecting. We have price-led ad units, content-led ad units. We mix them, match them. We let the machine do its thing. We now know that in order for somebody to subscribe, they generally need to have clicked on at least between 6 and 12 content-led ad units before they'll click on a subscription unit and subscribe. So we're pulling this data through all the time. And this is a big change in culture for a media organization like ours. 2-hour turnaround times at some points in time. So on a Thursday, when we get the articles, they get sent straight over to the media agency, the creative agency, and they'll turn that around within 2 hours. That'll be on a Thursday. And we have full editorial blessing for this. So not one ad unit goes out into the wilderness without the editor-in-chief signing it off. So we're working very closely with editorial, which wasn't necessarily the case in the past. Make sense so far? Okay. So are we being successful? I think in a nutshell, yes. We've generated thousands of subscriptions. I can't tell you how many, obviously commercially sensitive, but we have. We've sent over 12 million new people from around the world to economist.com that had never been to economist.com before, so building this huge prospect pool. Lots of in-house learnings. We've employed people to do our retargeting in-house. So we brought all that skill set in-house rather than having to rely on agencies. We're now being seen as cutting edge. I don't think 3 years ago you'd have invited me to come and stand on this stage. And that's one example of how we are improving the reputation of our brand. And really importantly, and this is most importantly for my job because it makes it really interesting, is that we've convinced the board that investing in brand at the top of the funnel is indeed worthwhile and can be done. All these metrics that follow around, that we now embed around the brand stuff is exactly the same as the metrics we do as our direct response at the bottom of the funnel. The CEO and the board can see how we're spending every last pound, which means they've allowed us to invest more. So just one quick brand impact chart. We did this, we did a brand dip, I think 6 months ago. The people who have been exposed to the campaign are in red, people who hadn't in black. You can see people who are exposed to the campaign now see us as more international, trustworthy, relevant, and have content worth sharing. Of course, if people share our content, that's great for me. I don't have to pay to get my content out in front of people. This is a really important slide. So look at how our reader focus now defines the shape of our business. In 2005, we were still as profitable as a company, but the circulation department was unprofitable, to the tune of minus £10 million. Look where we are now. We're now delivering £43 million worth of revenue, which is nearly 3/4 of the profits of the company.
Is that digital or subscribers?
Subscribers, but digital subscribers, print subscribers, reader revenue. Could be newsstand sales, could be, but taking money off readers to subscribe. A bit of personal glory in there as well. 4,700 people applied, or brands applied to win a Cannes Lion Gold for effectiveness last year, and only 3 were awarded. We won one of those. I'm the short guy on the right-hand side. We seem to employ lots of tall people at The Economist, not me. And we've now won over 50 awards for this stuff. Really gratifying for us. So what's next? How are we for time, Steve? All right? Yeah. Okay, so what's next? So this is now a well-oiled machine. If you speak to people internally at The Economist, they will hold this aloft as a well-oiled machine that is completely data-led, built on a very clearly defined audience. So now what we're doing is augmenting that machine, just trying to make it more optimal. So one of the things we're doing is responding to events more than we used to. So elections, for example, we're honing lots of creative around elections and taking demand off the table when it surfaces due to elections and events that are of interest to our audience. We're incorporating a lot more dynamic assets. These are a couple of things we did for the election. You see there a couple of comments. Best advert of the election so far. This is pure genius. I love it. That wasn't my brother who wrote that, by the way, or my mum. It was my gran. Joking. Okay, and we're now moving from, much of what I've shown you already is static. So static ad units, I've told you, we're honing the machine. Nobody can ignore the growth of video, so we're now placing video into the machine. Remember, this is just to convince people that they should click at the end of this video, to click on a piece of content that they had no idea might be covered in The Economist. So this is one of my favorites. This is one we did for surfacing the rise of the robot. If you wouldn't mind just playing the video very quickly. Purely and simply just to tempt people in. We're now live on more social formats than we've ever been before. This is an example of Snapchat. It's very short and sweet. Want to give that a go? So we created this for the election. You may think, well, that's, you know, what's the big gig around that? But who'd have thought The Economist would be on Snapchat? This is a real long-term play for us now. We see many people on Snapchat now as readers of the future, so we're making sure that we're present in Snapchat using devices that are there available to us. This happened to be a device that we used for the UK election. People would click on that and then go and get a free copy of The Economist, and we'd upsell them to a subscription when we had them on the telephone. We've now moved into TV. Remember I said we've convinced the board and the CEO that top-of-the-funnel investing is worthwhile. We hadn't done any TV since, I believe, the year 2006. We're now back on TV, and this broke on US TV. Oh, let's go back a slide. Was that me? Have a quick look at this. This broke on US TV just last week.
It's a noisy, chaotic, confusing world. If only everyone could see it more clearly. Separate fake from fact. If only we all understood what's really going on. The world needs another Economist reader. And now you can try The Economist in print, free of charge. Visit free.economist.com, call 1-855-500-0015, or text Economist to 99000.
So remember why try buy? Why would I possibly want to read The Economist? Well, we're creating a TV ad that shows that we cover topics that are core to our American readers. Why should I give it a try? Well, we're giving you the option to give it a try. One free copy. But the trick of the free copy is that when you send us a text or you call in, we have people ready to take money from you on the phone for a trial subscription too. And about 50% of people who phone that number convert to being longer-term subscribers, which I think suggests we're getting the audience right in the first instance. If the audience was wrong, nobody would then subscribe later on. Two new things. We haven't done any of this before, actually. This is all new. So we've got a UK radio ad just breaking now, if you want to give that a quick listen.
These days, good sense is in short supply. Amid the fear-mongering and fake news, it can be hard to take a breath and tune into what's real. But every week, The Economist provides clarity on the issues that matter to you. Get a free copy of The Economist. Text free copy to 78070 for a sensible, more considered view. Text free copy to 78070 now. The Economist. Clear thinking in an uncertain world. SMS charged as per tariff. We will call you back. Free copy will be a recent printed issue. Offer not available for existing subscribers. Offer applies to UK households only. Limited to one copy per household. Offer ends 31st of July 2017.
Okay, US podcast is our native podcast, so we're now we're live in some of these. Just see how this works.
I'm really excited that this week we're sponsored by The Economist magazine. This is like one of the very first things that I started reading when I was in high school, I think, that got me really interested in politics and world affairs. It's a fantastic publication, has been for years. If you're somebody who loves to get down into the weeds, The Economist really gives you a chance to dig deeper.
I think they get the gist. So we're inserting ourselves. We know that our audience is present in those podcasts. We're picking the channels on radio where we know our audience are grazing, but we can't do any of this if we hadn't done all the audience work up front. And I guess that's the mantra of this presentation, is the concentration on the audience up front has allowed us to do all this stuff and be successful. We're also moving into digital out of home. We've never done this before. It's the first time the company's ever invested in digital out of home. This was for the UK election. We had vans driving down to different constituencies and placing different posters on the side of the vans depending on the way voters had chosen to vote, whether it be Conservative, Labour or Liberal Democrat. So that's it. If you didn't understand any of that, there is now a 2-minute video that tries to encapsulate everything I've just said. You might now wonder, well, why did you bang on for 30 minutes when you could just show me the video? That's what most people think. But let's play the video, and then if we've got time for any questions, we can open up as well. Sure.
Let's do some questions.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any questions for Mark? Mark, David Grant, the Christian
Are you
Science.
going to ask to take your drawing home?
Yeah, can I, I'll take a picture, print it up large. I think Poppy's was better. Why did you all decide to go for those subscription hubs versus simplifying your own site? So why send people into that other sort of experience? How did you think about that, or how did you, land? You said you A/B tested it was better, but you could have made the site look more like the subscription hub. So
yeah, that's a really, really good question. So as you can imagine, a media company like ours and big media companies tend to move at a certain pace. And we are not the only department who have some command around the website. So the advertising team will also be building ads on the website, and there's a multitude of different priorities for that site. So We are now as of right now, actually, we've redefined economist.com. We're going through various iterations to make it more subscriber friendly, or should I say, more friendly to attract new people to come into The Economist. Back then, we were in a very different situation, so we decided to take it upon ourselves that we could move quicker and more intelligently to just build some hubs to sit along the side until such point as economist.com was where we wanted it to be. And we're right now in the realms of actually switching all the traffic back to economist.com because it's a lot more single-minded in its journey than it used to be. So it was a short to medium-term fix to get us around the problem that we couldn't move economist.com as quickly as we might want to do so.
Let me ask a classic circulation question. As you broaden the net, how are you handling, or what are you finding in terms of churn and the lifetime value of these new subscribers coming through these new channels? Yeah. Are they committing on a longer term, and how does that figure into all the economics of this?
Yeah. So the key is what you just said, actually. We gauge everyone we bring onto the file now using LTV, lifetime value. So 3 or 4 years ago, when we didn't have such a wide net, we would gauge our activities on CPA, on cost per acquisition, and we'd see the CPAs falling. But then if you truly looked at the long-term value of these people, you could see people dropping off. You didn't know whether, you could see then that you were not in every instance delivering the right audience. But now everything we do is judged on LTV, which takes into consideration the upfront CPA, also the how much they're paying on an annual basis, which is obviously different for a student, for example, than it is for a full price subscription. And then we're also looking at the renewal rates. And we have, I won't tell you what it is, but we have there is a figure, an LTV figure, and any of the activity that we're doing that doesn't hit that figure will get pulled. It's not quite as draconian that, so at the outset, whatever that figure is, the first time we do anything, we work on the basis that if it's at 4 times that value, let's say the LTV is $1,000 or something. If the first time we do it, it looks like the LTV is $4,000, we reckon we can optimize down to 1,000. If it's more than that, we won't do it again. And we have a test pot of about £20,000 per new test. The CEO is quite happy for us to have a go at anything as long as we don't spend more than £20,000. It's quite a liberating environment. It's an incredible environment to be playing in, actually. I'm very lucky because there is a pot of money. You're actively encouraged to fail. Small fires.
Mark Beard, thank you very
Sure.
much. That was
Right,
great.
thank you.